she corrected him coolly. Or, at least I will be, as of Monday morning. He nodded. On TV, of course. Carly heartily resented the inference that any job she might land would have to hinge on her looks. After all, she'd graduated from college with honors back in Kansas, and she'd even written a weekly column for her hometown newspaper. It wasn't as though she didn't have qualifications. No, she answered. I've been hired by the Oregonian Times. Mr. Holbrook's eyes were still dancing, even though his mouth had settled into a circumspect line. I see. Well, that's one of the best newspapers on the West Coast. I know, Carly informed him. I understand it's a rival to your paper. The instant the words were out of her mouth, she regretted letting on that she knew who he was, but it was too late. So she just sat there, trying to look remote. Holbrook's grin flashed again. You're behind on your homework, Ms. Barnett, he informed her. I went to work for the Times 2 years ago. They'd be working together, if only for the same paper. While Carly was absorbing that discovery, the flight attendant came and collected their trays, and then they were separated by the beverage cart. When it rolled on by, Carly saw that Mr. Holbrook had an amber-colored drink in one hand. She felt slightly superior with her tomato juice, but the sensation lasted only until she remembered that Holbrook had a Pulitzer to his credit, that he'd interviewed presidents and kings and some of the greatest movie stars who'd ever graced the silver screen. Because she held him in such high esteem, she was willing to allow for his arrogance. He'd forgotten all about her, anyway. Now that his dinner tray was out of the way, he was writing on the yellow legal pad in earnest. The plane began its descent into Portland soon after, and Carly obediently put her tray into the upright position and fastened her seatbelt. She was nervous about flying in general, and taking off and landing in particular, and she gripped the armrests so tightly that her knuckles ached. Even though she'd flown a lot, Carly had never gotten used to it, and she doubted that she ever would. When the plane touched down and then bumped and jostled along the runway, moving at a furious pace, Carly closed her eyes tightly and awaited death. It's gonna be okay, she heard a voice say, and she was startled into opening her eyes again. Mark Holbrook was watching her with gentle amusement, and he reached across the aisle to grip her hand. Carly felt foolish, and she forced a shaky smile. But she had to grimace when the engines of the big plane were thrust into reverse, and the sound of air rushing past the wings filled the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, a staticky voice said over the sound system, we'd like to welcome you to Portland, Oregon. There's a light spring rain falling today, and the temperature is in the mid-40s. Thank you for choosing our airline, and we hope you'll fly with us again soon. Please remain in your seats until we've come to a complete stop at the gate. Mark was obviously one of those people who never listened to such requests. He released Carly's hand after giving it a squeeze, and stood to rummage through the overhead compartment for his carry-on luggage. Need a lift somewhere? He asked, smiling down at Carly. For a moment she almost regretted that her friend Janet would be waiting for her inside the terminal. She shook her head. Thanks, but someone will be picking me up. He produced a business card from the pocket of his rumpled tweed coat and extended it. Here, he said, with mischief in his eyes. If you need any help learning the ropes, just call my extension. She beamed at him and replied in the same teasing tone of voice, I think I'll be able to master my job on my own, Mr. Holbrook. He chuckled and moved out of the plane with the rest of the mob, glancing back at Carly once to give her a brazen wink and another knee-dissolving grin. 10 minutes later, when the crowd had thinned, Carly walked off the plane carrying her beauty case and purse. Her best friend from college, Janet McLean, was waiting eagerly at the gate, as promised. I thought you'd missed your flight, Janet fussed as she and Carly hugged. Janet was an attractive brunette with dark eyes, and she'd been working in Portland as a buyer for a major department store ever since graduating from college. She'd been the one to suggest that Carly leave home once and for all and make a life for herself.